back, my fellow makers. It's Matt from Keep Making. I want to share with you how I made these Tome dice trays. Let's get to it.
Shall we begin?
Starting with the stain, I'm just watering down some acrylic paint. You could use a traditional wood stain, but I wanted to go with something a little bit brighter, a little funky color, and much cheaper. So the one thing you want to watch out for here is don't use too much water or you might warp the wood. On the second of these, I warped the wood a little bit and I had to clamp it overnight to get it back into its shape, so watch out for that. Once that's done along the whole book, then I'm just taking some black acrylic and going on the insides, giving that black perimeter there. Then to do the pages after this, I'm just using an ivory paint, and then I left that area like pretty unsanded so it gave the effect of book pages. So here are the stencils I'll be using. I 3D printed these and I designed them in Tinkercad. So I got my buddy Brian, who's just the greatest person. Brian designed these for me. I turned them into transparent images, converted those images into SVG files, converted those SVG files into STL files in Tinkercad, and then used these little rectangles in Tinkercad to make bridge connection points. And that way when you print it, you can move it all in one piece. That makes it way easier for stencils. You can see here, like this one, I didn't do that here, and so I had to line up that O, as you can see there. If you want to avoid that, just make little connection pieces. I did get Brian to design those connection pieces into the design in these later ones, but for the first one, I hadn't thought that far. So yeah, I'll include a link in the description to how you can go about this whole process. This one was a little bit different. I just used the font, turn that font into a transparent image, turn that image into an STL, and turn that STL into a hole, and place that hole on top of a rectangle piece. And I'll show you how I use those later on. So here I am using the stencil. I'm using liquid gold leaf through this stencil. You could use any type of gold acrylic paint or whatever type of paint. But I did not, as you can see here, that tape is coming off pretty good. It's not adhered down good enough, and you can see it bled through here. And so to fix this mistake, this is basically what I wanted from the get-go, but because it bled through, I sort of had to go with it. I sort of outlined it in black, and then I covered this whole area black when that wasn't working for me, and then I'll be applying gold again over top of the black. I have a funny feeling this is not going to go well. So, let's see what happens. So this time around, instead of using that liquid gold leaf, I used an airbrush, and this is how it turned out. I come in again with some black acrylic just to fill out the lines, and when it was left like this, I wasn't really a fan. So I did the oldest trick in the book: when you mess up something, hide your mistakes by drawing attention somewhere else. And so I dipped my hand in red acrylic paint and tried to leave an imprint of my hand as if someone was bleeding profusely out of their whole hand, I guess. I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, it came out all right, but it definitely wasn't what I was going for initially, and this is me panicking here. So when this part of it was done, I mean, now when looking back, I sort of like this look, but at the time was not a fan. So I let myself be upset about it for a night, and then the next day, Brian and I got working on that second design you saw a little bit earlier on, and I got working on the second book. So once I had got the new design, I started working on the second of these Tome books, and this time I'm going darker with this purple you see here. Again, you can see here, this is the one I mess up by using too much water, and you can definitely see that a little bit here, and as I flip over the other side, you can see I just pour it on. I advise against doing that. I was sort of in a rush here, and it all worked out. I was able to clamp it overnight, but yeah, I just tried to not use as much water. So for this one, I'm doing the reverse of what I did on the last one. I'm going to undercoat that area, so I traced it out, the stencil that is. I applied that liquid gold leaf underneath, and then I'm going to put the stencil back on where the gold is and spray it from above through my airbrush with just a black acrylic. If you don't have an airbrush, you could do this just as well with a paintbrush. Just make sure that you've taped down the stencil rigid enough. Then using black to cover the inside again. I don't know why I did the bottom. I end up covering this with suede. If you don't have that at your disposal, there's really cheap adhesive backed felt that you could use as well. I like to use that in my other ones. Then I'm coming in with that second stencil with the font, laying it out, painting a black strip, and then I'll be spraying that in with some silver later on. And this is how it all turned out when it was said and done.
Shall we begin?
Well, that'll do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for checking it out. And if you liked it, make sure you're hitting the thumbs up button. If you loved it, consider subscribing to the channel, hitting the bell so you're notified when my videos do release. Special shout out to Brian. I couldn't do this stuff without you. Thank you so much. And if nothing else, I hope from these videos you learn that you can make mistakes along the way as long as you fail forward and have fun. Keep making it.